After 15 years of dedicated service at Pinnacle Solutions, a devastating dismissal letter arrived from CEO Victor Greisen. The blunt email, titled Organizational Update, read, "Due to restructuring, your position is now extinct, effective immediately." It was a punch to the gut, delivered in the dead of afternoon. The office buzzed with its usual cacophony of keyboards and conversations, a stark contrast to the silence that now echoed within me. Just moments before, I'd wrapped up a crucial call with Ms. Delane, a long-standing client who affectionately called me the one who truly understands. The abruptness of the email was jarring. 15 years reduced to 13 words and a digital signature. My heart pounded in my ears as I stared at the screen. My position as senior account manager was terminated. At 42, I wasn't some fresh-faced graduate. I'd cultivated half the client base from the ground up. Dismissed with such callous efficiency, the reality crashed down. The office continued its relentless rhythm. Phones ringing, laughter echoing, time seemingly suspended. My desk, a meticulous arrangement of files for the week's meetings, stood as a monument to my dedication. A photograph of Max, my beloved dog now gone, sat as a poignant reminder of years spent at Pinnacle. 15 years, lost weekends, endless negotiations, closing deals, all for this? Restructuring. The word hung heavy in the air. Martim, my colleague across the aisle, noticed my distress. Her keen intuition understood the turmoil. "Everything okay?" she asked, her concern evident in her tone. A forced smile plastered itself on my face. I couldn't afford to reveal the bitter taste of humiliation. "Everything fine," I managed. I began gathering my belongings, a few personal items and a worn notebook filled with client quirks. Ms. Delane's preference for 2 tablespoons of sugar, Mr. Patel's disdain for small talk, details that had solidified their loyalty. As I packed the notebook, Jake, the newest recruit, a fresh-faced 20-something with a meticulously styled hair and an abundance of arrogance, strolled by. "The veteran's time is up. It's the younger generation's turn now," he said, his words laced with a smirking superiority. The arrogance stung. I could have retorted, challenged his naivete with tales of the deals I'd closed, the years of dedication. But what was the point? His limited experience couldn't comprehend the delicate dance of building trust, the years of painstaking cultivation. Instead, I closed my bag's zipper and said, "Thank you for the opportunity." My voice calm, resolute, as if I were merely concluding a meeting and not a career. Jake's reaction was one of astonishment, of disbelief. He hadn't anticipated a lack of conflict. I passed Lisa, who exchanged a concerned glance with me, and continued my departure. My heart aching, I left the building, my career behind. I slumped into the break room, the accumulated lunches a stark reminder of my routine. I continued towards the glass doors, entering the elevator and confronting my reflection. Gray hairs were sprouting. My eyes held the weariness of long hours. Yet my jawline remained firm. I hadn't even had time to unpack at home. I tossed my bag onto the kitchen counter and gulped down a glass of water. An oppressive silence permeated the apartment, my mind a whirlwind of anxieties. I opened my phone, revisiting the email, those 13 words blurring into an agonizing sequence. Victor had mentioned nothing about severance or compensation, only immediate termination, as if I were a dispensable expense. Memories of the Pinnacle's startup days flooded my mind, those late nights battling to secure clients that Victor couldn't. I trusted him, believing his pronouncements about our family, empty platitudes masking a cold calculation. I retrieved my laptop, its screen illuminating the dim room. My resume, neglected for 5 years, lay there. Yet the core remained strong. 15 years of results, clients who stayed with me through mergers, recessions, and Victor's ego-fueled tantrums. I updated my experience, adding specific numbers. $5 million in revenue just last year. My phone buzzed. Victor's name flashed on the screen. I let the notification ring, unwilling to hear his voice. I didn't need his message. I sent my resume to 3 contacts. A recruiter I'd met at an event, the vice president of a competing firm who had previously tried to poach me, and a former client who'd suggested freelance work if I left. I leaned back, the glass of water forgotten, letting the day's events sink in. Fired at 42 without warning, mocked by a young upstart. It stung, but I wasn't destroyed. I'd built something at Pinnacle far beyond Victor's comprehension, something I could recreate. My phone buzzed again. Victor's name. I ignored it, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow I'd strategize the next steps. Today I needed to breathe. Yet a nagging question echoed in my mind. What happens when the man who fires you realizes that he, himself, was wrong? I awoke to 7 missed calls from Vitor. 7 early, 8 midday, and 10 late into the night. My phone, a scoreboard of his anxiousness. I hadn't even heard the messages. I was still terminated less than 24 hours prior. Whatever he wanted could wait. I went to the kitchen, brewed coffee, and sat at the counter, my laptop open. My plan was to review job offers that were beginning to arrive and outline my next steps. I wasn't dwelling. 15 years at Pinnacle had taught me to overcome adversity. I wouldn't wallow in self-pity. Around 9:30 a.m., 3 responses had arrived in my inbox. Recruiter Karen informed me that she was scheduling interviews with several companies by midday. The VP of Apex Innovations, a competitor I respected, sent a succinct message. Lunch tomorrow. We need to talk. And Tom Reynolds, an 8-year client, wrote, heard you're available. Let's talk. Call me. I leaned back, savoring my coffee, letting these possibilities reverberate within me. A doubling of my salary at Apex or forging my own path, a thought that solidified within me. It was the first time since that email that the ground beneath me felt firm. Then my phone buzzed. I answered another call, this time from Vitor. A faint smile touched my lips as I remained silent, allowing him a moment of discomfort. 15 years of loyalty, I reflected, earned 13 words and the cold shoulder. If he thought I'd rush to answer, he was mistaken. I opened a spreadsheet, meticulously listing the pros and cons of each opportunity. Apex offered stability, a team, and an office environment. A venture with Tom held greater risk, lacking a safety net, yet granting complete freedom. I was deep in these calculations when a notification popped up. A frantic call from Martin. Vitor again. I ignored it and continued. Near 11 a.m., Lisa sent a text. You okay? The office is a complete disaster today. My brow furrowed. Disaster? How so? I pictured my departure as a tremor in the company's foundations. Disaster sounded far more profound. Her reply was swift. Clients are leaving, many demanding you. They're all asking for you. I stared at the message while my coffee cooled in its mug. Clients leaving, demanding me. A smile unfurled on my face. I hadn't anticipated this so soon. My work email, still active, revealed a pandemonium of messages. Subject lines, from long-standing client relationships, now contained termination notices requesting confirmation of status, notices to relocate our business to a new location. I opened Delaine's email. Martin, just heard you're leaving. You were the only one we trusted at Pinnacle. We're walking away. Another from Patel, concise and direct. No part 2. Martin was out. I reviewed 38 emails, 38 cancellations. All carried the same message. I was their anchor, and without me, they were severing ties. I slumped back in my chair, a laugh bubbling up from deep within my chest. Vitor's restructuring had just exploded in his face. Years spent nurturing relationships, late-night calls, rushed problem-solving. Those were my efforts. Clients didn't trust Pinnacle, they trusted me. Now, Vitor was learning a harsh lesson. My phone vibrated again. Vitor's 9th call. He left a message. Curiosity trumped everything. Martin here, it's Vitor. We need to talk. Call me now. His voice was tense, dry, unlike the assured tone he usually sported through the hallways. I deleted the message and refilled my cup. By midday, proposals flooded in. Aqua's offered double my salary and equity. Tom called enthusiastic. Martin already has 3 clients ready to sign with you. If you go it alone, they prefer you to anyone at Pinnacle. My spreadsheet grew. I wasn't just sought after. I was the cream of the crop. Vitor called again, the 10th time. I let it ring until the connection dropped. I imagined him pacing his office, shouting at Jake, for problems beyond the boy's comprehension. Lisa texted again. Vitor's losing his mind. He keeps asking where you are. I replied, tell him I'm busy, moving forward. A thumbs up emoji followed. I chuckled. Lisa had always been there, in her own way. I wondered if she'd grasped my significance. For so long, Vitor hadn't seen that I wasn't just another name on the payroll. Mid-afternoon, I paused, gazing out the window, my thoughts adrift. Those cancellations weren't merely acts of retribution. They were proof that my 15 years at Pinnacle hadn't been a mere actor's role. I had built something genuine, something Vitor couldn't replace, not with a novice like Dick, nor with a superficial term like restructuring. My phone buzzed again, the 11th call. Another message. I pressed play. "Martin, this is Victor," the message began. "It's serious. Clients are disappearing like ants fleeing insecticide." The message continued, detailing the desperate plea. He inquired about my return, his desperation palpable in each word. I deleted the message without blinking. I wouldn't return. Not for a corner office, not for a raise, not for anything. Apex had offered me a compelling proposition, a compelling compensation package, a renewed sense of purpose that had been absent for years. Victor had thought he'd cornered me, but he'd only struck himself. I was ascendant, and the only question remained, how high would I climb? And how deep would Pinnacle's downfall be? 3 days after Victor's email had turned my world upside down, I sat in a cafe across town, staring at a napkin, sketching my future. Apex Innovations had boosted their offer, double the salary, company equity, and a team to lead. Tom Reynolds had called twice, pressing me on the freelance work. 3 clients were ready to migrate with me if I chose to strike out on my own. 2 paths laid before me, one secure, the other audacious. I'd spent 15 years choosing security at Pinnacle, and look where that had led me. Fired by a man who didn't grasp the meaning of loyalty. I sipped my bitter, strong coffee, wondering which Martin I wanted to be. My phone fell silent that morning, a welcome respite from Victor's deluge of calls. 11 messages, each more desperate than the last. I didn't respond to a single one. He had made his choice. I was making mine. Lisa had texted me hours earlier. "Pinnacle is hemorrhaging. Victor is gone. How are you?" I responded in minutes. Better than ever. The 38 cancellations and growing had shifted the game. I was no longer a job-seeking candidate. I was the sought-after talent. I had a meeting scheduled with Apex at midday. Vice President Claire had chosen a neutral ground, a restaurant in the city center. I arrived early, settled into a booth, my napkin filled with notes. She arrived 10 minutes later, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, a smile sharper than ever. "Martin," she began directly, "we've followed your career at Pinnacle for years. The company has only excelled as long as you've been there. We need you at Apex as a senior director, equity participation, your own team. You could start next Monday if you're interested." She pushed a folder toward me. The contract, the benefits, the double salary as a starting point, the stock options, the bonuses, all dizzying. I maintained a serious expression, but inside I was vibrating. This was the kind of offer you rarely refuse. "It's a lot," I commented, playing hard to get. "We can work it out," she said, leaning forward. "You are worth it. Pinnacle is sinking without you. Industry blogs have already picked up the story. We'd prefer to have you on our side, building something here rather than seeing you scavenging the scraps." I nodded, letting her words sink in. She was right. Lisa's messages painted a grim picture. Empty tables, canceled meetings, and Vitter's avoidance of the board. My dedication, the bedrock of client trust I'd painstakingly built at Pinnacle, hadn't resonated with Jake or anyone else. Claire's offer, a lifeline, a veritable rocket ship, lay dormant in a folder. Tom's voice, however, echoed in my head. "Go it alone, Martin. We support you. Freedom versus structure." I told Claire I needed time to consider, then left. My mind wrestled with the conflict that night. A sector meeting, ostensibly for networking but also driven by curiosity, beckoned. I donned a new suit, purchased after my dismissal, feeling empowered, a man brimming with possibilities. Arriving, I became a focal point. Heads turned, whispers followed. "There's Harper, the golden boy of Pinnacle. Apparently, that's why the company's sinking." I mingled, responding to inquiries with a detached, "We'll see what happens." My gaze fell upon Vitter, a figure cloaked in a loosened tie, wide-eyed, near the bar. "Martin, partner, we need to talk." "No, we don't," I retorted, taking a sip. He stepped back, yet persisted. "Look, I admit I messed up," he conceded, lowering his voice. "The restructuring wasn't personal. Clients vanished, the board is on my back. Double your salary, best office, whatever you want." I placed my drink on the bar, my gaze fixed on him. 15 years of hollow promises, broken pledges, and crude emails. "You didn't dismiss me from the job, Vitter," I stated slowly. "You dismissed the trust, and my clients know it." Vitter's jaw tightened. A vein pulsed. "You're deluding yourself," he countered. "Whoever's behind you, Apex, whoever, doesn't care as much as we do. They don't need to care. They just need to value you, and you never received that from me." I distanced myself, leaving him to drown in self-inflicted turmoil. Whispers surrounded me, but I remained unfazed. I'd said what needed to be said. Outside, the cool night air embraced me. My phone buzzed. It was Sarah, a former Pinnacle client. "Martin, it's me. I heard you're free. I'm severing my contracts with Pinnacle. I'm starting my own company." A genuine laugh escaped my lips. Tom was saying the same thing. "You're the best I've ever worked with. Pinnacle is nothing without you." "You're right. Not so much," she responded. "You're the best I've ever worked with. I'm going to hang up." I disconnected and stood there, the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. A message from Lisa arrived. "Vitter's finished. The board meets tomorrow. I kind of tipped off some clients about your departure. Didn't want a war." I was stunned. Lisa's actions had been swift. "You're amazing. I'll buy you a drink sometime," I replied. She'd recognized my worth, the dominoes tumbling. My car held the Apex contract alongside Sarah and Tom's proposals. Vitter's pleas faded into the background, overshadowed by Claire's confidence and Lisa's loyalty. I wasn't merely at a crossroads, I was the crossroads. As Pinnacle crumbled, I was rising. The only question lingered. Which path would I choose? I grappled with a decision that morning. The PEX ladder or my own burgeoning empire. That night, however, sleep came more easily than it had in years, filled with visions of the future I was poised to build. A week after Victor's email had disrupted my peace, I watched the downfall of Pinnacle Solutions from afar, like a spectator observing a ship's demise from a safe distance. I'd made my choice. That morning I signed a contract with Apex Innovations, a deal that doubled my previous salary, afforded me equity, and guaranteed me my own team. Claire smiled as I handed over the paperwork. "Welcome to the team, Martin," she said. "Let's build something great." I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Apex would be my launchpad, not my ceiling. Tom and Sarah's offer of independent work, though tempting, wasn't the time to fly solo. I craved resources, a team, a functioning engine before forging my own path. My phone buzzed incessantly after that initial sector meeting. First came Lisa's message. "The board's losing their minds over Victor today. The office is a graveyard." Then Sarah's. "I'm leaving Pinnacle. Let me know when you're available to sign with me." Even recruiter Karen weighed in. "I heard you landed with Apex. Good job, Martin." I responded to Lisa, "Keep me updated." Victor's 12th message, a plea just as insistent as the previous ones, was ignored. I focused on the tasks ahead. I'd turned the page. There would be no looking back. Around noon, the industry blogs exploded. "Incred Solutions loses clients following star manager's dismissal," screamed the headlines. "Grion's restructuring gamble fails." I scanned the news over my morning coffee. The 38 cancellations had ballooned to 42, and others hung by a thread. The numbers were stark. Half their revenue had vanished in a week. My name appeared in every article. Martin Harper, the trusted face of Pinnacle Solutions, gone. Sources described the cost-cutting measure as catastrophic. I chuckled. Victor's fresh blood had backfired spectacularly. He'd done something foolish. Rumors circulated within my inbox about Victor's desperate attempts to spread false tales, that I'd sabotaged the books and left Jake to clean up the mess. A clumsy attempt, one that failed to stick, not even for a few hours. Clients retaliated. Delane directly emailed me, stating she heard Victor's lies but emphasized that I was the sole reason they'd stayed with Pinnacle so long, calling him foolish. Senior Patel posted on a sector forum, "Harper over Grion's problems." Even Lisa alerted me. Victor's spreading fabrications, but no one believes him. Clients are livid. I didn't reply. The truth, deafening in its clarity, was louder than any fabricated tale. Jake left that afternoon. Lisa called, her voice laced with amusement. "That boy's gone lunch break. Clients are screaming for you. He looked as pale as paper." I laughed, picturing his gelled hair and smug smile crumbling under the pressure. "He thought he could replace me." "Poor guy," I commented. He didn't know the magnitude of the hole Victor had dug. "He's next," Lisa responded. "The board's lost patience. You should see the state of things around here." The empty desk felt like a silent acknowledgement, a promise of the beer I'd intended to celebrate with. Jake's departure was a footnote, a minor detail in the unfolding narrative. The main event was Victor's downfall. The next day I arrived at the modern, vibrant office, my new world. Claire introduced me to my team, 5 sharp account managers, ready to conquer. "You're the guy who came from Pinnacle, right?" one of them asked. "Heard you sank the whole ship yourself." I shrugged. "They sank it," I replied. I just stopped holding them up. They chuckled, and we dove into work. My first call was to a new client. Claire had meticulously prepared a potential $2 million contract. I closed it before lunchtime, as if shedding 15 years of Victor's baggage in a single transaction. Meanwhile, Pinnacle crumbled. Lisa texted, "Victor's gone. The board fired him this morning. Apparently he's selling his car to pay off debts." I didn't outwardly celebrate, but I felt a sense of quiet justice. He'd never built anything, merely rode the coattails of my work, until he felt he didn't need me anymore. Now he was on his own while I continued my ascent. Pinnacle Solutions faced severe cuts and a potential sale. 42 clients departed, leaving barely a vestige of what I'd helped construct. I recalled my words to Victor during our last meeting. He dismissed my concerns, his confidence inflated. My former colleagues were also moving on. Delane posted on LinkedIn, and the news spread through our network. Martin Harper was a paragon of excellence. Without him, Pinnacle had crumbled. The comments section exploded. Clients, colleagues, even a rival executive who'd previously clashed with me. Harper was the epitome. I was the lesson. I didn't post anything. They were already doing it for me. By Friday, I was home at Apex, my desk piled high with files, my team a cohesive force. I truly felt part of something substantial. Claire stopped by my office, leaning against the doorway. "You're causing quite a stir. Glad you came here." I nodded, smiling. "You made a good choice hiring me," she returned, a smile gracing her lips, before leaving me to my work. I crashed on the couch that night, my phone silent. Victor's lies had backfired. Jake was gone. Pinnacle was a ghost town. I had landed. Better yet, I'd risen. Apex was my proving ground, and I was ready to craft my own path. As I relaxed, a thought surfaced. This wasn't an end, but a beginning. Everything I built from this point forward would be mine. Confidence and determination were mine. A month after Victor's email had shattered my old life, I stood in my new Apex Innovations office, gazing at the city I was poised to conquer. Behind me, my desk overflowed with papers, a coffee cup sat on the corner, and Max's photograph, brought from Pinnacle, was on my desk. All was well. 3 weeks into my Apex tenure, I'd secured millions in contracts, assembled a team attentive to my every word, and earned Claire's approval, a reward exceeding any salary. Pinnacle was a distant memory, a stark lesson. My initial weeks were frenetic, learning names, exchanging handshakes, and immersing myself in the intricacies of client accounts. My team, 5 account managers, all hungry for success, viewed me as some sort of legend. "You're the guy who sank Pinnacle, huh?" One of them joked, a smirk playing on his lips. They'd underestimated themselves, not me. I wasn't there to boast, but to work, and I did just that. My first significant victory arrived swiftly, a $2 million contract with a tech firm. Claire had been pursuing this deal for months. I secured it during a casual lunch, leveraging the same trust I'd cultivated with Pinnacle clients. The difference? At Apex, my value was truly recognized. Lisa kept me informed about the fallout from my departure from Pinnacle. More dismissals. "Vitor's vanished off the map," she texted one day. "Sounds like he's dabbling in consulting work." "How's it going, Modesto?" she asked. I didn't respond immediately. Part of me felt a twinge of pity for him. 15 years together, but he dug his own grave. The board fired him a week after that bar meeting. The blogs went wild. Greison's downfall, as one news outlet described it, highlighted how a single termination could decimate a company. The latest survey revealed a catastrophic exodus. 45 clients had bolted, leaving behind a shell of a company I barely recognized. Jake, too, had vanished, probably nursing wounds somewhere, stripped of his swagger. Midweek, my phone buzzed, interrupting a pre-meeting prep session. It was Sarah, a former Pinnacle client. "Martin just called to check in on you. I canceled my contract with them and things are booming," she enthused. "Booming is the word," I replied, leaning back in my chair. "The PEC has been fantastic. Closed a hefty contract last week. I knew you'd nail it," she said.
"You were always the soul of Pinnacle, everyone saw it. I'm glad you found your place." Her words resonated deeply. "Thank you, Sarah," I said sincerely, still contemplating starting my own business. "Who knows what the future holds?" she playfully inquired. "But let me know if you decide to launch something. I'll sign on in a flash." I hung up, absorbed by the conversation. The soul of Pinnacle.
Wasn't wrong. Years of dedicated work, countless calls, and unwavering trust had drawn clients to me, not out of pity, but loyalty. Bitter never grasped this power. On Friday night, I met Lisa at the bar as promised. She was brimming with news. They were selling the Pinnacle headquarters. "The company's doomed," she said, taking a sip of beer. "Should shut down by mid-year." Vitter's name was tarnished, and mine, too. "Raised a glass to a better ending than being the guy no one remembers," I quipped, raising my drink. She laughed. I hadn't plotted the client exodus. All I did was inform Delane of my departure. The news spread like wildfire. "You started a war," I remarked, a slight smile playing on my lips. "It was the best accident I've ever seen." "Worth it," she responded. "You deserve something better." I thanked her, left a $20 bill, and then I was serious. Lisa had turned the tide. I had allies, even when I didn't know it. Back home, I wrote a simple note to Lisa, a heartfelt, "Thank you for your support. Let's grab another drink soon." I promptly dispatched a small tribute to the past the following day via mail while constructing my future at Apex. I could test everything in my own unique way. My team relied on me. Clara had faith in my abilities, and clients closed deals because of me. One day, a newcomer asked, "How did you achieve this?" He'd been fired and was now rebuilding everything. I shrugged, acknowledging my dismissal, and continued onward. "Is that all there is to it?" He persisted, as if it were so simple. Perhaps it truly was that straightforward. Pinnacle became a cautionary tale of failure, the restructuring at Vior a subject of mockery and conferences. I didn't even need to read the blogs. The narrative was self-evident. 45 fewer clients. One demoralized individual, an unprepared newcomer. I departed with my head held high, and they plummeted without me. Enough was enough. On the final day of the month, I once again gazed at the city from my window. ATEC was at my disposal. Contracts to close, a team to lead, a name to build. Sarah's phone call resurfaced. "You're exactly where you need to be." She was right. 15 years of being undervalued. Then, a chaotic week, and now this, my earned ascent. I turned away from the window, gathered my bag, and headed home. The past was dissolving into dust, and my future stood ready for construction, 1 ounce of confidence at a time.